Hello Glamour, I am Tan France. I am known as a style and fashion expert, so we are going to play a little game of vocabulary, UK versus US. My favourite British fashion term is dungarees because it makes no sense and it confuses Americans when I say it. My favourite American fashion term is overalls because it just makes a lot more sense. It's the most simple word for something that is completely practical. So dungarees versus overalls. Every category of clothing has very different terms in the UK and the US. Outerwear is one of them. You guys may say trench, we might say mac, you guys might say raincoat, we might say parka. Shall we dissect which one's which? Let's see. Here we have a trench coat. In England, you can call it a trench, you can also call it a mac. Now, some Brits will say a mac doesn't have buttons. I think a mac is either with buttons or without. It's usually this kind of colour. I prefer the word trench though. I think it sounds much better. The thing that makes this a trench coat is that it has military elements. For example, a broader shoulder, usually a yoke on the back, a belt. That's what makes a trench a trench. It's military inspired. It's something that is very much on trend right now in a bunch of colours. However, I would stick with something classic and it's going to see you through decade after decade after decade. This we call a raincoat here in America. However, in the UK, this is called a parka. Some might say it's called an anorak. However, an anorak is actually more A-line. It doesn't have a gathered waist. So I call this a parka. This is called a windbreaker in America. And I have just been told by a lovely young lady off camera that this is called a wind cheater in England. This person has clearly never been to England, so we don't call it a wind cheater. This is a windbreaker. Let me explain why. It has a fabric that really, literally breaks the wind, stops the wind, so it can't go through, it can't penetrate you, and so that's why we call it a windbreaker. Now here's the thing, sometimes Americans and Brits really do agree. This is a blazer in the US. In the UK, it definitely is also a blazer, there's no difference. And the reason why I love a blazer, it's major right now. You can wear it day to night, dress it up, dress it down. I love this kind of blazer because it really is universal. Like, you can wear it at the age of 18, 35, 45, 55, 65, doesn't matter what your size, like this is gonna look gorgeous on every one of you, male or female. This is a pinstripe, which is also universal. England, America, anywhere else, this is a pinstripe. What is also universal is that this has a peak collar, which means this peaks up. It's a peak lapel, actually, if you really want to know the real. So this is a peak lapel. Everything else about it is very much standard US, UK. If you are wanting to be cool and chill, I would suggest wearing it with a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, even a little mini skirt with a pair of sneakers, you're good to go. Or if you want to dress it up in the evening, wear it with a dress, put it over a cute little dress, a little heel, and you're good to go. In the US, when you check your coat when you enter a restaurant, club, whatever, you would leave it in a coat check. In the UK, we leave it in a cloak room. Apparently people were wearing a lot of cloaks back in the day and it really stuck. So a cloak room versus coat check. Again, America, it makes more sense. Here we have what they call in America a circle scarf or an infinity scarf. However, in the UK, this was often referred to as a snood. I don't love the word snood, it sounds very peculiar, and so I'm going to say let's change it to simply infinity or circle. It makes more sense. Come on England, get it together. Okay, let's move on to what is under our outerwear, shirt. So in England, this is called a shirt, simply a shirt, which means something that is either buttoned up or buttoned down. In America, you guys would call this a button up, because shirt is just generic for all things that you would wear under a jacket, which is bizarre. I like to be specific. Difference between a button up versus button down. So yes, you can call this a button up or a button down technically. However, if we're gonna be really correct, a button down is when the collar buttons down on the actual shirt itself. The rest of it is just a button up. So England, shirt. America, button up. Okay everyone, in America, I know that you call this a sweater, and I've started calling it a sweater too. However, in the UK, this is called a jumper. Do I know why? No, it makes no sense. It also makes no sense that it's called a sweater, but there you have it. America, sweater. England, jumper. In America, we would refer to this as a thrift store find. It's from a thrift store. However, in the UK, we call it a second-hand shop. We don't really use the word thrift store, we either use second-hand shop or vintage shop. And let me tell you the difference also between those. A vintage shop or a vintage store is somewhere that sells vintage items, so usually over at least 20 to 30 years old, whereas a thrift store is just clothes that somebody's donated. It could have been from this year, it could have been from 5 years ago, but it's not vintage. In America, we call this either a tank top or a cami. In England, we call this a cami or a camisole also. Tank top is not this. A tank top is usually a wider strap. It usually comes up a little bit higher. So this in England, we would refer to as a cami. Now this is what you would call a tank top, which is correct. In England, we call this a vest top. It's got a wider strap up top. It's more like a jersey fabric as opposed to a silky, sexy cami fabric. Okay, so I had said that that is called a vest top, but in America, what you call a vest top is this, which is quite frankly incorrect. This is a waistcoat. This is a waistcoat, not a vest. This in America, you call a pant. In England, we call these a trouser. So a trouser could be, a trouser is something that's just not a jean or like a camo pant. It's this. This is a trouser, not a pant. Now, this is not a pant, you guys. These are pants. In England, this is what we call a pant. So if you're asking somebody about their pants in England, you're asking them something very inappropriate. That's none of your business. We also call them Y-fronts. I know that you call them tighty-whities, but the correct term is Y-fronts. Now, America, I've got something to tell you. This that you call a fanny pack, we find so vulgar back home because fanny in England means vagina. And so when you're talking about your fanny pack, that sends all kinds of weird signals to us. This is called a bum bag. Bum bag. And they've fitted it, weirdly, to pad it out with what in America you call diapers. We call nappy. It's all very confusing, I know. You guys are usually right in the US. So, fanny pack, not bum bag. All right, kids, we're almost to the end of our outfit. Here we go with our final item, what we're wearing on our feet. You guys call rain boots in America, I think? We call them wellies or galoshes. Now, normally a wellie is a little bit taller, but whatever footwear you're wearing to protect yourself from the rain, which is usually completely rainproof, is called a wellie or galosh. You guys call them rain boots. Probably makes more sense. And then if you were to get caught out in the rain, don't forget to grab your brolly. In America, you call it umbrella. In England, we call it a brolly. Ask me why? Don't know. Don't have all the answers. Google it. Thank you so much, Glamour. Sure do appreciate you. Bye. Thank you for watching. This video was filmed before the coronavirus outbreak, and it is my belief that we need to take a minute to acknowledge the fact that we need to all do our part during these challenging times. So, please stay home, spend time with your family, even if that means virtually. Together, we will get through this. Thanks.